The Power of Saying Less, a new perspective on speaking with impact, written and published by True Stoic. Introduction. In a world dominated by noise, true influence is found in intentional silence. Have you ever noticed how the most compelling individuals don't speak the most? They speak the best? The power of saying less isn't about withholding speech, but refining it. Imagine captivating an audience without raising your voice, earning respect by speaking only when necessary, and using silence to enhance your message rather than fill empty space. Mastering the art of saying less is not about merely reducing words. It is about elevating their significance. Words, when carefully chosen and strategically placed, can become instruments of power, persuasion, and clarity. This book will transform the way you communicate by helping you master the art of impactful speech through brevity, presence, and purposeful silence. If this message resonated with you, let's spread the word. Ironically, by saying less, but meaning more. Like, comment, and subscribe if you believe in the power of intentional communication. Let's build a digital world where words are chosen wisely and silence is embraced as a strength. Why silence feels uncomfortable? For many, silence can feel awkward. There's an urge to fill every gap in conversation, as if silence signals discomfort or disinterest. But think about it. Why do we rush to fill those pauses? It's often because we fear the unknown. What if the silence means the other person is judging us? What if they think we don't have anything important to say? Here's the truth. The ability to sit comfortably in silence demonstrates confidence. It tells the other person that you are thoughtful, intentional, and in control. Instead of scrambling to fill the void, let the silence linger. Give your words a moment to settle. It allows your message to resonate deeply with your audience. The strategic use of silence. When used effectively, silence commands attention and heightens curiosity. A well-placed pause makes people lean in and listen more intently. Demonstrates thoughtfulness and self-assurance. People who pause before speaking appear more composed and intelligent. Provide space for others to contribute, making them feel valued. Silence is an invitation. It encourages engagement and deeper discussions, reduces impulsive speaking, and creates a sense of mystery and authority. Leaders and great speakers know that silence can be more powerful than speech. Silence in leadership and negotiation. Silence is one of the most underrated tools of leadership. In high-stakes meetings, have you noticed how the most powerful people often say the least? They listen intently, take in every word, and when they do speak, their words carry undeniable weight. That's because they understand that silence is not absence, it's presence. In negotiation, silence can be a game changer. Imagine you're making an offer, and instead of immediately justifying it, you let the silence hang. The other party, feeling the weight of the unspoken, might feel compelled to respond first, perhaps revealing their position or even conceding more than they intended. Silence and emotional intelligence. When emotions run high, silence is a powerful de-escalation tool. Instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, a pause allows for better decision-making. It creates space for you to assess the situation, regulate emotions, and choose words with care. Whether in a heated argument or a difficult discussion, embracing silence can prevent misunderstandings and lead to more productive outcomes. Using silence to enhance personal connections. Silence isn't just useful in leadership and negotiation. It plays a profound role in deepening relationships. When someone shares something personal, our instinct might be to respond immediately, to offer advice, or to relate it back to our own experience. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to simply hold space. A nod, a thoughtful pause, or a soft, "I hear you" can communicate more than 100 words ever could. We've all had conversations where we felt truly heard, where the other person wasn't just waiting for their turn to speak, but genuinely absorbing what we were saying. That's the magic of silence. It transforms conversations from transactional to meaningful. Practical ways to incorporate silence into daily communication. 1. Pause before responding. Instead of jumping in immediately, take a moment to process your thoughts. 2. Let silence do the heavy lifting. If you're making a point, allow a moment for it to sink in before continuing. 3. Use silence to diffuse tension. When emotions run high, take a deep breath and let silence create space for clarity. Practice active listening. Instead of thinking about what to say next, focus entirely on the speaker. Let them finish without interruption. 5. Observe powerful speakers. Watch TED Talks or listen to interviews with great communicators. Notice how they use pauses to command attention. The takeaway: mastering silence doesn't mean saying nothing. It means knowing when to speak and when to pause. The best communicators in history, from Martin Luther King Jr. to Steve Jobs, understood that a well-placed pause could be just as impactful as the words themselves. Silence is an art, a skill, and a superpower. It's not about being quiet. It's about being heard. When you learn to wield silence strategically, you gain control over conversations, enhance your presence, and make every word you speak truly count. Chapter 2. Less is more. The art of precision. You know, sometimes it feels like we're all in a race to talk as much as possible, thinking that the more words we throw out there, the clearer our message will be. But really, it's the opposite. When we choose our words carefully and use only what's absolutely necessary, each word becomes like a finely chiseled gem. That's the art of precision. Imagine you're painting a picture. If you cover the canvas with too many strokes or colors, the image becomes muddled and loses its impact. But if you focus on just the right details, your painting can speak volumes without needing to be overly busy. The same goes for communication. When you strip away the unnecessary fluff, what's left is a message that's not only clearer, but also infinitely more powerful. Let's break it down a bit. Why less is more? Have you ever listened to someone who just rambles on and on? Chances are, after a while, their message gets lost in the noise. Over-explaining doesn't help anyone. It can make ideas seem complicated and even confuse the listener. When you choose fewer words, each one carries more weight. It's like every word is on a mission to make an impact. The fewer words you use, the more each one matters. Think about some of the most memorable quotes or speeches you've heard. Often they're short and to the point. That's because when every word is chosen with care, the message doesn't just pass by, it stays with you. The sculptor's approach. I like to think of precision in speech as similar to the work of a sculptor. A sculptor starts with a block of stone and over time removes everything that isn't part of the vision, leaving behind a work of art that feels effortless and powerful. When you communicate, try to see your words in the same way. Ask yourself, what's the core message I want to deliver? Then, carve away the extra details that don't serve that purpose. For example, instead of saying, "I really think that maybe we should consider looking at other options because this option seems a bit too risky and might not work as well as we hope," you might say, "Let's explore safer alternatives. It's cleaner, direct, and far more effective." Practical tips for speaking with precision. Here are some friendly tips that have helped many people, including myself, in honing this skill. 1. Know your core message. Before you start speaking, take a moment to think about what you really want to say. What's the one idea you want your listener to remember? Focus on that. and let the rest fall away. 2. Cut the fluff. We all have filler words that we default to when we're nervous. Words like like, or you know. Try to minimize these. They often dilute your message without adding any real value. 3. Use stories and analogies. Sometimes a short story or a simple analogy can convey your point much more effectively than a long explanation. For instance, comparing a complex idea to something familiar, like a roadmap or a recipe, can make it instantly relatable. 4. Avoid jargon. Unless you're sure your audience understands it, steer clear of technical terms or buzzwords. Simplicity is key. Speak as if you're sharing a thought with a friend over coffee. 5. Practice active editing. After you say something, mentally review it. Ask yourself if every word was necessary or if there was a way to say it more clearly. Over time, this practice sharpens your ability to be concise. Real-life examples. Consider how some of the world's most influential figures speak. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. or innovators like Steve Jobs often used pauses and simple, powerful language to convey their visions. They didn't overcomplicate their messages with extra details. Instead, they trusted that their ideas were strong enough to stand on their own with just a few well-chosen words. Or think of everyday situations. Imagine explaining a recipe to a friend. Instead of reciting every single step in excruciating detail, you might say, "Mix the dry ingredients, add the wet, and bake until golden." It's simple, clear, and easy to remember. That's the beauty of precision, the art of editing yourself. One of the most valuable skills in achieving precision is learning to edit your own speech in real time. This isn't about second-guessing every word you say. It's about being mindful of the impact of your words. You might find yourself in a conversation and suddenly think, "Do I really need to say that extra detail?" That moment of reflection can be the difference between a forgettable conversation and one that leaves a lasting impression. Remember, it's perfectly okay to take a pause and gather your thoughts. It shows that you're thoughtful and that you respect both your own words and the listener's time. In a world that often celebrates verbosity, embracing the art of saying less can feel revolutionary. It's a return to quality over quantity. Chapter 3. Listening to speak better. You know what they say, the best speakers are first and foremost great listeners. It might sound a bit counterintuitive at first. After all, aren't speakers supposed to captivate and entertain with their words? But here's a little secret. When you truly listen, you unlock a world of insight and connection that transforms not only your conversations, but also your relationships. Imagine sitting down with a close friend over a cup of coffee. As they share their thoughts, you're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're genuinely tuning in, catching the subtle hints in their tone, the little gestures, and even the pauses that speak volumes. That's active listening, and it's a game changer. It's about really hearing what's being said and what isn't. What is active listening anyway? Active listening goes far beyond simply hearing words. It's about understanding the speaker's intent, emotions, and the unspoken messages that often lie beneath the surface. Think of it like this. When you're really listening, you're not just processing information, you're forming an emotional connection with the speaker. It's as if you're putting yourself in their shoes, experiencing their perspective as if it were your own. Have you ever noticed how some people, when they speak, make you feel as though they truly understand you? That's the magic of active listening. It involves paying attention not only to the content of the words, but also to the way they're delivered, the inflections, the pauses, and even the silence between words. The benefits of truly listening. When you listen actively, a few amazing things happen. Deeper connections. You start to understand the needs, desires, and feelings of those around you. This builds trust and strengthens your relationships, whether with friends, family, or colleagues. Tailored responses. Instead of offering generic or off-the-cuff remarks, your responses become thoughtful and relevant because you've taken the time to really understand what was said. Enhanced learning. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn something new. By listening closely, you're often exposed to ideas and perspectives you might have otherwise missed. Conflict resolution. When emotions run high, taking the time to listen can diffuse tension. It shows that you care about the other person's viewpoint, which can pave the way for mutual understanding and resolution. Practical strategies for active listening. So how do you cultivate this invaluable skill? Let's break down some practical strategies that can help you become a more attentive listener. 1. Give your full attention. It sounds simple, but in our busy world, distractions are everywhere. Put away your phone, close your laptop, and focus solely on the person speaking. Even if you're in a bustling cafe, try to create a mental space where you can really engage. 2. Observe nonverbal cues. Often, what isn't said is just as important as what is. Notice body language, facial expressions, and gestures. A furrowed brow or a slight smile can give you clues about how the person is feeling. These cues help you understand the emotional undercurrents of the conversation. 3. Pause before you respond. Instead of rushing to fill the silence with your thoughts, take a moment to reflect on what's been said. This pause not only gives you time to process the information, but also shows the speaker that you value their words enough to consider them carefully. 4. Ask thoughtful questions. When you ask questions that probe deeper into what the speaker is sharing, it signals genuine interest. Questions like, "How did that make you feel?" or "What do you think will happen next?" invite further reflection and encourage a richer dialogue. 5. Echo and reflect. Sometimes summarizing or paraphrasing what you've heard can confirm that you're on the same page. For example, you might say, "So what I'm hearing is that you felt really overwhelmed by the situation." This not only validates the speaker's feelings, but also ensures that you've understood them correctly. 6. Embrace the silence. Just as we talked about in Chapter 1, silence is golden. In conversations, don't be afraid of those quiet moments. They're not empty, they're filled with opportunity. Silence gives both you and the speaker a chance to reflect and absorb the conversation fully. Real-life examples of active listening. Let's bring this to life with a couple of examples. Imagine you're at work and a colleague is discussing a challenging project. Instead of interrupting with solutions right away, you listen attentively. You notice the stress in their voice and the way their eyes dart when they mention deadlines. By simply acknowledging their struggle, maybe saying something like, "It sounds like you're really feeling the pressure with these deadlines," you open the door for them to share more. This not only makes them feel heard, but might also lead to a more collaborative approach to problem solving. Or picture a personal scenario. A friend is recounting a difficult experience they had recently. Instead of immediately offering advice or comparing it to your own experiences, you just listen. You nod, maintain eye contact, and allow them to fully express themselves. Later, when they ask for your opinion, you're better informed and can offer advice that's truly tailored to their situation. The transformative power of listening. When you embrace the practice of active listening, you transform your conversations into meaningful exchanges. It's a skill that not only improves your interactions, but also fosters empathy and understanding. You start to notice subtle changes. People feel more comfortable opening up to you, and your relationships become richer. and more authentic. Think of active listening as a bridge. It connects you to others on a deeper level. It's not just about being polite. It's about genuinely valuing what someone else has to say. And the best part? It's a skill that you can develop with practice. The more you listen, the more natural it becomes, and soon enough, it'll be a cornerstone of your communication style. In the end, great speaking isn't just about how eloquently you can deliver your message. It's about how well you understand others before you speak. By prioritizing listening, you pave the way for more thoughtful, impactful communication. Whether you're at a dinner party, in a business meeting, or catching up with a friend, remember, every great conversation starts with a great listener. Chapter 4. The weight of every word. You know, sometimes I think about how every word we say is like a tiny seed planted in someone's mind. It might seem small in the moment, but over time it can grow into something much larger, either a beautiful garden or a tangled thicket. In our everyday conversations, we often take our words for granted, not realizing the lasting impact they can have on others and on ourselves. Every word has its own energy. Imagine you're sharing a heartfelt story with a close friend. Every word you choose carries its own energy, its own subtle vibration. Some words comfort, others inspire, and a few might even hurt if not chosen carefully. When you say something like, "I care about you," those words aren't just filling space, they're creating a bond, a moment of connection. Conversely, harsh or careless words can leave scars that linger far longer than we might ever intend. The invisible scale of impact. Have you ever noticed how a simple compliment can brighten someone's entire day? Or how a harsh criticism can replay in your mind for days afterward? That's because our words have weight. They can uplift and empower, or they can discourage and wound. Think of it like this. Every time you speak, you're setting a tiny scale in motion. On one side of that scale is your intent, what you really mean to say, and on the other side is how those words might be received. Striking a balance between these is a subtle art. How to choose your words wisely. Now, I'm not saying you need to become overly cautious or censor every thought. The goal isn't to speak in a monotone or to hide behind a wall of silence. Instead, it's about mindfulness, being aware that each word is a choice. Here are some friendly tips to help you harness the power of your words. Pause and reflect. Before you speak, take a brief moment to consider the message you want to convey. What's the core idea? Is every word you're about to say necessary to get that point across? Sometimes, a pause can help you filter out the noise. Speak with integrity. Choose words that truly reflect your values. When you speak honestly and sincerely, your words naturally carry more weight. It's like letting your inner truth shine through, and that kind of authenticity is rare and powerful. Be aware of your tone. Sometimes it's not just what you say, but how you say it. A warm, gentle tone can make even a simple, "I'm sorry," feel sincere, while a cold, detached tone might make even the kindest words seem insincere. Tone is like the seasoning on your message. It can enhance or completely change the flavor. Practice empathy. Try to imagine how your words will land with the person on the other side. Think about their feelings, their perspective, and how what you say might impact them. It's as if you're having a conversation with a dear friend, because you are. Edit on the fly. Sometimes, in the heat of a conversation, we tend to add extra words that dilute our message. Learning to edit yourself in real time, choosing to speak less but more meaningfully, can transform the quality of your interactions. Real-life moments when words mattered. Let me share a little story. I once had a conversation with a friend who was going through a really tough time. Instead of offering quick fixes or empty reassurances, I simply said, "I'm here for you," and then sat with them in silence. That short, simple phrase carried so much meaning that it became a turning point for them. They later told me that, in that moment, they felt truly seen and understood. That's the weight of a carefully chosen word. It can bridge the gap between isolation and connection. Or consider the workplace scenario. When a manager takes the time to give a brief but genuine compliment to an employee, "Great job on that project," it not only boosts morale, but also reinforces a culture of appreciation and respect. Those few words can set the tone for an entire team, creating an environment where people feel valued and motivated to do their best. The ripple effect of your words. It's amazing to think that our words can create ripples that extend far beyond the immediate conversation. A kind remark might inspire someone to pass on that kindness to others, creating a chain reaction of positivity. On the flip side, thoughtless words can have a ripple effect that sours relationships or dampens someone's spirit for days, weeks, or even longer. This is why it's so important to be intentional with our language. We might not be able to control every reaction or every outcome, but we can control how we express ourselves. And that control is a kind of power, a quiet, gentle power that, when used wisely, can transform lives. So, my friend, as you go about your day, remember this. Every word you speak is an opportunity. It's a chance to build up, to inspire, to connect on a deep and meaningful level. You have the ability to choose words that not only convey your thoughts, but also touch the hearts of those who listen. Chapter 5. Mastering Nonverbal Communication. You know, sometimes I like to think of communication as a whole symphony, not just the words we speak, but all the subtle, silent notes that play in the background. In many ways, what you say is only half the story. How you say it, and even how you carry yourself, often tells a much larger tale. Let's dive into the art of nonverbal communication, a skill that, when mastered, can truly elevate your presence and impact. The silent language of body language. Imagine you're sitting across from a friend. Even before they say anything, you might notice a few things: their posture, the way they hold their arms, maybe even a small smile or a furrowed brow. These signals are like little whispers that reveal what words might not express. Research suggests that a whopping 70%, or even more according to some studies, of our communication is nonverbal. That means the way you stand, the way you move, and even how you breathe can speak volumes. Think of nonverbal communication as the tone of a song. Without it, the melody might be there, but it's the dynamics, the crescendos and the pauses that really make it come alive. So next time you're in a conversation, pay attention to your own music and try to sync it with your message. Posture, your invisible suit of armor. Let's start with posture. It might sound a bit mundane, but how you sit or stand can change how people perceive you. An open, upright posture tells the world that you're confident and approachable. Imagine meeting someone with slumped shoulders versus someone standing tall and relaxed. It's almost like the difference between a wilting plant and a vibrant, blooming flower. Here are a few pointers. Stand tall. Whether you're speaking in a meeting or chatting with a friend, try to keep your back straight. It naturally makes you look more confident. Stay open. Avoid crossing your arms or hunching over. These gestures can unintentionally signal defensiveness or disinterest. Lean in. When someone is speaking, leaning in slightly shows that you're engaged and interested. It's a small, almost subconscious way of saying, "I'm here with you." The magic of eye contact. Eye contact is another powerful tool in your nonverbal arsenal. It's amazing how much you can say without uttering a single word, just by simply looking someone in the eye. When you maintain good eye contact, you convey trust, sincerity, and engagement. It's like offering a silent handshake that reassures the other person, "I'm really listening to you." Of course, it's all about balance. Staring too intensely can feel intimidating, while avoiding eye contact might make you seem disinterested. Imagine you're having a relaxed conversation with a good friend. You naturally look at them, smile, and then glance away occasionally. That's the rhythm you want to capture. Facial expressions, your personal emoji. Our faces are incredibly expressive. Think about it. Sometimes a smile can brighten someone's day more than any spoken compliment could. Your facial expressions are like a personal emoji set, providing context and emotion to your words. When you speak, make sure your expressions match your message. For instance, if you're sharing good news, let that genuine joy shine through. If you're discussing something serious, a softer, more contemplative expression might be more appropriate. A couple of tips. Be authentic. Don't force a smile or any expression. Authenticity is key. People can usually tell when you're genuinely engaged versus when you're putting on an act. Mirror emotions. When someone shares their feelings, a subtle nod or a sympathetic expression can communicate understanding and empathy. Gestures. Adding emphasis without overdoing it. Hand gestures can be a fantastic way to emphasize your words and add energy to your message. Imagine you're telling a story about something big, a grand achievement or a surprising twist, and you use your hands to illustrate the size or impact of the event. It makes the story more vivid and easier to visualize. However, like any tool, moderation is key. Too many gestures can distract your audience or even confuse your message. The idea is to use gestures to complement your words, not overshadow them. Picture yourself as a conductor. Your hands are guiding the conversation, adding emphasis here and there, but never stealing the spotlight. Breathing, the underestimated anchor. Now, let's talk about something you do naturally but often overlook: breathing. The pace and rhythm of your breath can influence your overall presence. Controlled, calm breathing helps you maintain composure and project authority, especially in high-pressure situations. It also subtly communicates that you're relaxed and in control, qualities that can inspire confidence in others. A simple exercise. Before you speak in a meeting or start an important conversation, take a deep breath. Let it fill you up, then slowly release it. Notice how that brief moment of pause not only centers you, but also sets a calm tone for the interaction. Putting it all together. When you combine all these nonverbal cues, posture, eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, and even your breathing, they form a cohesive language that can reinforce your spoken words. Imagine giving a presentation where your words are well crafted, but your nonverbal signals are off. The disconnect can leave your message feeling weak or contradictory. On the other hand, when your body language and tone align with your words, your overall message becomes so much more powerful and believable. Think of it like a well-rehearsed dance, where every step and movement is in harmony with the music. In conversation, that dance creates a rhythm that not only captivates your audience, but also makes them feel understood and connected to you. Real-life scenarios. Let me share a couple of scenarios. Suppose you're in a job interview. Beyond your answers, the interviewer is watching how you carry yourself. Do you maintain eye contact? Do your gestures feel natural? Do you smile when appropriate? These nonverbal cues can often tip the scales in your favor, making you seem more confident and engaged, even before you say a word. Or imagine you're having a tough conversation with a friend. Sometimes words might fail to capture the complexity of what you're feeling. In those moments, your tone, your soft nod, or a gentle touch on the arm can speak volumes, conveying empathy and solidarity far more effectively than any lengthy explanation could. Final thoughts. So, my friend, as you navigate your daily conversations, remember that nonverbal communication is your silent partner. It's there to bolster your words, to give them color, and to make your overall message resonate on a deeper level. By becoming more aware of your body language and practicing these techniques, you not only become a more effective communicator, but also a more engaging and authentic person. The next time you're in a conversation, take a moment to check in with your non-verbal signals. Are your eyes conveying interest? Is your posture open and inviting? Are your gestures natural and supportive? These little adjustments can transform the way you connect with others, making every conversation a meaningful exchange. In the end, mastering non-verbal communication isn't about being perfect. It's about being mindful. It's about recognizing that every smile, every nod, and every pause is an opportunity to build a stronger connection. And when you start to see the world through this lens, you'll discover that sometimes the most powerful conversations are the ones where what isn't said speaks just as loudly as the words themselves. Chapter 6. Influence through curiosity. You know, one of the most fascinating aspects of communication is that it's not always about how much you talk. It's often about how well you ask questions. Curiosity is like a secret ingredient that can transform a mundane conversation into a rich, engaging dialogue. It's that spark that turns everyday exchanges into opportunities for deeper connection and mutual understanding. The power of curiosity. Imagine a conversation with a friend where instead of just sharing your own stories, you show a genuine interest in their experiences. Curiosity invites openness. It's like opening a door and saying, "I'd really like to know more about what you think." When you ask thoughtful questions, you're not only gathering information, you're also validating the other person's feelings and ideas. This simple act of inquiry creates an environment where both sides feel valued and heard. Curiosity does more than just fill in the gaps. It acts as a catalyst for exploration. It encourages people to share insights they might not otherwise mention, and it opens the door to perspectives that can challenge and enrich your own thinking. When you approach a conversation with a curious mindset, you're effectively saying, "I'm interested in you and what you have to say," and that can have a profoundly positive impact on the connection you build. Asking the right questions. Not all questions are created equal. The real magic happens when you ask open-ended questions, those that can't be answered with just a yes or no. These types of questions invite reflection and detailed responses. For example, instead of asking, "Did you have a good day?" try asking, "What was the highlight of your day?" It's a subtle shift, but it encourages the other person to share more deeply. Here are some practical ways to harness the power of curiosity in your everyday interactions. Start with open-ended questions. Ask questions that begin with how, what, or why. For instance, what inspired you to choose your career path? Or, how did that experience change your perspective? These questions invite stories and personal insights. Follow up thoughtfully. Once the conversation gets going, don't be afraid to dig a little deeper. If someone mentions they're passionate about art, you might ask, "What kind of art moves you the most and why?" This shows that you're genuinely interested in understanding their passion. Embrace silence. After you ask a question, give the other person time to think. Sometimes a few moments of silence can lead to more thoughtful and profound responses. It shows that you value their input enough to wait for a considered answer. Avoid interrupting. It can be tempting to jump in with your own thoughts, but try to resist that urge. Allow the speaker to finish their point. This respectful pause not only makes them feel heard, but also gives you a moment to process what's been said before you respond. Share your curiosity. Let the other person know that you're genuinely intrigued by their viewpoint. A simple, "I never thought about it that way, tell me more," can go a long way in encouraging a richer dialogue. Curiosity as a bridge to deeper understanding. Curiosity is also a powerful tool for bridging gaps between different viewpoints. In today's world, where differences in opinion can sometimes lead to conflict, approaching a conversation with genuine curiosity can transform a potentially tense exchange into an opportunity for learning and connection. When you're curious about someone's perspective, you're not immediately judging or dismissing it. You're opening yourself up to the possibility of understanding something new. Think about a time when you encountered a viewpoint that was completely foreign to you. Instead of shutting down the conversation, what if you had asked, "What experiences have led you to see it that way?" Such a question not only validates the other person's perspective, but also paves the way for mutual respect and shared understanding. Real-life moments of curiosity in action. Let's bring this to life with a couple of scenarios. Imagine you're at a family gathering, and an uncle you rarely see starts talking about his recent travels. Instead of letting the conversation drift into small talk, you might ask, "What was the most surprising thing you learned on your trip?" This question could lead to an engaging discussion about different cultures, unexpected challenges, and even personal growth. Not only does this make the conversation more interesting, but it also helps you connect on a deeper level. Or consider a work meeting where tensions might be running high over a challenging project. Rather than jumping straight into a debate, you could say, "I'd love to understand your perspective on this issue. What do you think is the biggest obstacle we're facing?" This not only diffuses potential conflict, but also shows that you're interested in collaborative problem solving, turning a divisive moment into an opportunity for unity and creative thinking. Curiosity and innovation. Curiosity isn't just great for personal conversations, it's also the engine of innovation. Many breakthroughs come from asking the right questions. Think of famous innovators like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. Their success wasn't just about having brilliant ideas, it was also about their relentless curiosity, their willingness to question the status quo, and their habit of looking beyond the obvious. By constantly asking what if and why not, they opened up new possibilities and redefined industries. In your own life, cultivating a habit of curiosity can lead to unexpected discoveries. Whether it's trying out a new hobby, exploring a different field of knowledge, or simply asking a coworker about their weekend, every question has the potential to unlock new ideas and insights. Embracing a curious mindset. At its core, curiosity is a mindset, a way of approaching life that values questions over answers and possibilities over certainties. It's about being open to the unknown and willing to learn from every interaction. When you adopt a curious mindset, you begin to see every conversation as an opportunity to grow and every person as a potential source of wisdom. Here's a little exercise. Next time you're in a conversation, make a conscious effort to set aside any preconceived notions. Approach the discussion as if you're meeting that person for the first time, with an open mind and a genuine desire to learn something new. Notice how this shift in perspective changes the way you interact and the quality of the dialogue that unfolds. Remember that curiosity is your secret weapon. It's a tool that not only enriches your interactions, but also bridges gaps between people, inspires innovation, and deepens your understanding of the world. Ask thoughtful questions, listen with genuine interest, and embrace the wonderful, unpredictable journey of learning from every conversation. Curiosity turns every exchange into a discovery, making your interactions more dynamic and your relationships more meaningful. It's a simple yet powerful way to influence the conversation without needing to dominate it. After all, sometimes the most impactful words are not the ones you speak, but the questions you ask. Chapter 7. The silence between the words. You know, sometimes the most profound parts of a conversation aren't the things we say. They're the quiet moments in between. Think about a time when you were having a heart-to-heart with a friend, and after a pause, something just clicked. That pause wasn't empty, it was filled with meaning, reflection, and a connection that goes beyond words. The magic of a pause. Imagine you're listening to a captivating story. When the storyteller pauses just before the climax, your heart races with anticipation. That silence builds suspense, drawing you deeper into the narrative. It's as if the pause tells you something important is coming. That's the magic of silence. It creates a space where your mind is free to fill in the gaps, to imagine, and to truly engage. When you allow moments of silence in your own conversations, you're giving your listener a chance to process what you've said. It's like planting a seed and then giving it time to grow. Every pause you take is an opportunity for your words to sink in and resonate. Rather than rushing to fill the space with more talk, try to embrace those quiet moments. They can be just as powerful as the words themselves. Why silence isn't empty. There's a common misconception that silence in a conversation is awkward or uncomfortable, but think about it. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. When you're sitting with someone, the quiet can be a comforting presence, a mutual understanding that no words are needed to share the moment. It's in that quiet that you often find the truth, the emotion that words sometimes can't capture. Consider a scenario where someone is sharing something deeply personal. Instead of immediately responding with advice or commentary, pausing and simply sitting in silence can communicate empathy and respect. That silence tells the other person, "I'm here with you, and I understand the weight of what you're feeling." Enhancing impact through strategic pauses. Silence isn't about simply not speaking, it's a strategic tool in your communication toolkit. Here are some ways to harness the power of silence to enhance your message. Build anticipation. When making an important point, pause for a moment before delivering the punchline. This brief silence primes your audience, making them more receptive and curious about what comes next. Let your words resonate. After saying something meaningful, allow a few seconds of silence. This gives your listener time to absorb and reflect on the message, turning your words into a lasting impression. Control the pace. In fast-paced discussions, silence can be your ally. By slowing down the flow of conversation with a pause, you signal that what you're about to say is worth taking a moment for. It also prevents the conversation from spiraling into a blur of rapid-fire responses. Diffuse tension. In moments of conflict or heated debate, a pause can provide a breather for everyone involved. Instead of reacting impulsively, silence allows emotions to settle, opening the door for more thoughtful dialogue and resolution. Silence as a tool for reflection. Ever noticed how a quiet moment can help clear your thoughts? In our daily lives, we're often so caught up in the chatter that we forget to pause and reflect. By embracing silence, you give yourself the space to think deeply before responding. This kind of reflective silence isn't about hesitating out of uncertainty. It's about choosing your words with care, ensuring that your responses are measured and meaningful. When you take a moment of silence before speaking, you're not just waiting. You're actively processing the conversation, considering the impact of your words. It's like giving yourself a mini mental break, which can make all the difference in how your message is received. Real-life moments. When silence speaks volumes. Let me share a little story. I once had a friend who was going through a tough time. Rather than filling the conversation with quick fixes or cliches, I sat with them in silence for a while. In that quiet space, they began to open up, sharing feelings they hadn't even realized were bottled up inside. That silence was not empty, it was supportive, empathetic, and deeply healing. Or think about a business meeting where ideas are flying fast. Sometimes, after presenting an idea, a brief pause can be the moment when someone else chimes in with a brilliant suggestion. That silence creates room for creativity and collaboration, allowing everyone to contribute without feeling rushed. Practical techniques for mastering silence. If you're wondering how to incorporate more intentional silence into your conversations, here are a few tips. 1. Practice mindful pausing. Next time you're in a conversation, consciously decide to pause after making a key point. Even a 2 or 3 second pause can make a difference. It gives your words time to resonate and shows that you're confident in your message. 2. Embrace the awkwardness. It's natural to feel a bit uneasy with silence, especially if you're used to filling every gap with words. But remind yourself that a pause is not a gap to be filled. It's a space for reflection. With time, what once felt awkward will become a natural part of your communication style. 3. Listen to the music. Think of a great piece of music. The rests and pauses are what give the melody its rhythm and emotion. Try to emulate that in your conversations. Let your silence be as intentional as the notes you play when you speak. 4. Use silence to gauge reactions. After sharing an important thought, allow silence to take over for a moment. Notice how people react. Often their expressions or body language will tell you more than any follow-up words could. 5. Reflect on your conversations. At the end of the day, take a few minutes to reflect on your interactions. Think about the moments of silence, how they made you feel, and how they affected the flow of the conversation. Over time, you'll start to see the value in those quiet moments and naturally incorporate them into your daily life. The deeper connection of shared silence. One of the most beautiful aspects of silence is its ability to connect us on a deeper level. In a noisy world, shared silence becomes a rare and cherished space where true understanding can flourish. Whether you're sitting in a bustling cafe or in the quiet of your living room, that mutual pause in conversation speaks of trust, respect, and empathy. It's a reminder that sometimes the best way to show you care is not by filling the space with words, but by simply being present. So the next time you're in a conversation, don't rush to fill every moment with sound. Instead, allow yourself and the people around you the gift of silence. Notice how a well-timed pause can add weight to your words, foster a deeper connection, and give everyone a moment to reflect and truly absorb the message. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's an active, powerful part of communication. It creates anticipation, invites reflection, and can even transform a simple conversation into something memorable and impactful. Embrace the silence between your words, and you might just discover a whole new level of connection and understanding in your relationships. Chapter 8. Speaking with Purpose. Aligning your words with your values. You know, there's something incredibly powerful about speaking with purpose. It's not just about what you say, but why you say it and how it reflects who you truly are. Imagine sitting down with a friend over a cup of coffee and sharing something deeply meaningful. When your words come from a place of genuine belief and clear intention, they resonate on a whole different level. That's what it means to speak with purpose. Finding your core message. Before you even open your mouth, it all begins with knowing your core values. Think of these values as the compass that guides every conversation you have. When you're clear about what you stand for, your words naturally align with your beliefs. For instance, if honesty is a core value for you, your speech will have a certain clarity and integrity that others can sense immediately. Reflect on your beliefs. Take a moment to ask yourself, what matters most to me? What am I passionate about? Whether it's fairness, compassion, innovation, or creativity, these beliefs shape the essence of your message. Set an intention. Before speaking, consider your goal. Are you trying to inspire someone, offer comfort, share a vision? A clear intention helps filter out the noise and ensures your words are not only heard but also felt. The art of authentic expression. Speaking with purpose means expressing your thoughts in a way that is true to who you are. It's like painting with your soul. Each word, each sentence, is a brushstroke that reveals your inner landscape. When you speak authentically, you invite others to connect with you on a deeper level. Be honest and vulnerable. Don't be afraid to show your true self. Vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a strength that fosters genuine connections. Sharing a personal story or a sincere sentiment can transform an ordinary conversation into something memorable. Stay consistent. Authenticity builds trust. When your words consistently reflect your values, people learn to rely on your insights and feel secure in your presence. It's a bit like knowing that a friend will always offer you the truth, even when it's hard to hear. Cutting through the noise. In our fast-paced world, we're constantly bombarded with opinions, advertisements, and endless chatter. Speaking with purpose means choosing to stand apart from that noise. It's about filtering out the trivial and focusing on what truly matters. Keep it simple. Complexity can sometimes dilute your message. Think about how effective a simple, well-phrased statement can be compared to a long-winded explanation. When you simplify your language, your message becomes more accessible and easier to remember. Eliminate the unnecessary. We all have a tendency to add extra words, filler, jargon, or unnecessary details that can obscure our true meaning. Editing your thoughts, even as you speak, can help ensure that every word counts. The resonance of purposeful speech. When you speak with purpose, every word carries weight. It's as if you're setting off a ripple effect, where your message inspires others to reflect, respond, and even take action. Think about the impact of a heartfelt speech or a simple piece of advice that sticks with you long after the conversation has ended. Inspire and empower. Purposeful speech has the potential to uplift and energize. Whether you're rallying a team at work or comforting a friend in need, your carefully chosen words can motivate others to see the world in a new light. Create lasting impressions. People remember messages that resonate with their values. When your speech is aligned with your core beliefs, it leaves an indelible mark on those who listen, making your words not just transient sounds, but lasting ideas. Speaking with purpose in different settings. The beauty of purposeful speech is that it applies to every aspect of our lives, from casual conversations with friends to professional presentations, from personal reflections to public speeches. Personal conversations. Imagine discussing a sensitive topic with a loved one. Speaking with purpose means listening as much as you speak, ensuring that your words are considerate, respectful, and aligned with your shared values. It turns a potentially awkward conversation into an opportunity for growth and deeper understanding. Professional settings. In the workplace, clear, purposeful communication can be a game changer. Whether you're leading a team or pitching an idea, when your words are rooted in authenticity and clarity, you build credibility and inspire confidence. It's about cutting through corporate jargon and speaking in a way that everyone can understand and relate to. Public speaking. For those moments when you're addressing a larger audience, purposeful speech becomes even more vital. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. or Steve Jobs were celebrated not just for what they said, but for the deep conviction behind their words. Their speeches weren't full of unnecessary embellishments. They were concise, powerful, and driven by a clear sense of purpose. Practical steps to speak with purpose. So how can you start speaking with more intention and authenticity? Here are some friendly, practical tips to guide you. Reflect regularly. Spend a few minutes each day reflecting on your core values and what you want to communicate. Journaling can be a great way to clarify your thoughts and intentions. Plan your conversations. Especially in important discussions, think ahead about what you want to say. Outline your key points and consider how they align with your values. Listen actively. Purposeful speech isn't a one-way street. Engage in active listening so that your responses are not only authentic, but also relevant to the conversation. This ensures that your words truly address the needs and concerns of others. Embrace simplicity. Challenge yourself to express complex ideas in simple terms. Practice distilling your thoughts into a single, powerful sentence. Seek feedback. Ask friends or colleagues for honest feedback about your communication style. Sometimes, an outside perspective can help you see where your message might be getting lost in translation. Practice mindful speaking. Before responding in a conversation, take a moment to pause and consider your words. This mindfulness can transform a reactive remark into a thoughtful, impactful statement. The ripple effect of purposeful words. Imagine a stone dropped into a still pond. The ripples spread out far beyond the point of impact. That's what your words can do when spoken with purpose. They have the power to influence, inspire, and create change long after the conversation is over. Whether you're advocating for a cause, mentoring a colleague, or simply sharing your day-to-day thoughts, when your speech is aligned with your values, it becomes a beacon of light that guides and uplifts others. At the end of the day, speaking with purpose is about more than just effective communication. It's about living in alignment with who you are. It's a commitment to authenticity, clarity, and integrity in every word you share. When you speak with purpose, you not only make your message clearer and more impactful, but you also build deeper, more meaningful connections with those around you. So next time you're about to share your thoughts, pause for a moment. Reflect on your values, set a clear intention, and choose your words carefully. Speak as if every word matters, because it does. By doing so, you'll not only elevate your own communication, but you'll also inspire others to find their own voice and purpose. Remember, my friend, the power of your words lies in their ability to reflect the best of who you are. When you speak with purpose, you light the way for others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positive change that can touch countless lives. Chapter 9. The Power of Silence in Leadership. You know, when we think of leaders, we often picture someone who's always talking, giving orders, delivering speeches, and filling every moment with sound. But here's a little secret. Some of the most powerful leaders are the ones who know when to be silent. It might sound counterintuitive at first, but trust me, mastering the art of silence can transform the way you lead and connect with your team. The quiet strength of listening. Imagine sitting in a meeting where your leader spends most of the time talking. Now, contrast that with a leader who listens more than they speak. The latter not only gathers valuable insights, but also creates a space where everyone feels heard. When you choose to be silent, you're giving your team the gift of your full attention. You're saying, "I value your thoughts, and I'm here to listen." That kind of active listening builds trust and respect, two cornerstones of effective leadership. Consider this. A friend once told me that their favorite boss was the one who rarely interrupted during meetings. Instead of dominating the conversation, this leader would nod, smile, and wait patiently for everyone to share their views. That simple act of holding back their own words encouraged others to speak up, share creative ideas, and ultimately solve problems together. Silence, in that context, wasn't about being passive. It was a powerful tool for engagement and collaboration, creating space for reflection and innovation. Silence isn't just about listening, it's also about giving your team the space to think. Ever been in a conversation where a pause feels like a reset button? In those moments, people get the chance to process information, reflect on their ideas, and come up with thoughtful responses. When a leader intentionally uses silence, it can spark creativity and lead to breakthrough innovations. Imagine a brainstorming session where ideas are bouncing around rapidly. If you, as the leader, take a moment of silence after a key idea is shared, that pause might be exactly what someone else needs to build on that idea or propose something entirely new. It's like planting a seed and giving it the time to grow into something beautiful. That silence can be a catalyst for creative problem-solving. The calming influence of a silent leader. In high-pressure situations, words can sometimes fuel the fire rather than douse it. Think about a time when tensions were high, maybe during a crisis or a difficult negotiation. In those moments, a calm and measured silence can be incredibly reassuring. When a leader remains composed and lets silence fill the room, it sends a powerful message. I'm in control, and we'll get through this together. I remember hearing about a CEO who, during a critical product failure, didn't rush to explain or justify what had happened. Instead, they listened, allowed moments of quiet reflection, and only then provided a clear, thoughtful plan of action. That measured use of silence not only diffused panic, but also instilled confidence in the team. It's a reminder that sometimes the best response is not to speak immediately, but to let the silence work its magic. Using silence to build trust and empower others. One of the most remarkable effects of a well-timed pause is its ability to empower others. When you allow silence in a conversation, you give people the space to voice their thoughts and opinions without feeling rushed or overshadowed. It's as if you're saying, "Your voice matters here." This not only boosts their confidence, but also creates an environment where innovation and collaboration can thrive. For example, in team meetings, a leader who occasionally stops talking and simply listens might find that quieter team members who would otherwise hold back start contributing more. They feel that their input is valued, and that can lead to a more inclusive and dynamic workplace. Empowerment through silence is a subtle but powerful way to foster a sense of belonging and mutual respect. The unspoken language of empathy. Silence can also speak volumes in moments of empathy. Have you ever been in a situation where words seemed to fall short, and all you needed was someone to simply be there with you? In leadership, there are times when the most compassionate response is a silent acknowledgement of someone's struggle. A nod, a steady gaze, or even just sitting quietly together can convey more empathy and understanding than any verbal reassurance could. When you practice this kind of empathetic silence, you're not just managing a team, you're connecting with people on a human level. And that connection can make all the difference when it comes to navigating challenges together. Practical tips for leading with silence. So, how can you, as a leader, start harnessing the power of silence in your daily interactions? Here are a few practical tips. Pause before responding. Next time someone shares an idea or concern, resist the urge to jump in immediately. Give yourself a moment to absorb what's been said and let that silence encourage further dialogue. Encourage open dialogue. At the end of your own comments, leave a gap. That silent space can prompt others to add their thoughts or ask questions, turning a one-way conversation into a collaborative exchange. Practice mindful presence. Be fully present in your interactions. Focus on the person speaking and allow your silence to communicate your genuine interest and attentiveness. Reflect regularly. Set aside time for quiet reflection. Whether it's during a walk or a quiet moment in your office, use that time to think about your decisions and the insights you've gathered from your team. Model composure. In times of crisis, let your calm, silent presence be a source of stability for your team. Sometimes, holding back your words can be the strongest way to show that you're in control. At its core, leadership is as much about listening and reflecting as it is about speaking and directing. When you learn to use silence strategically, you not only enhance your own ability to lead, but you also empower those around you. The power of silence in leadership lies in its ability to create space for thought, for creativity, and for genuine human connection. Chapter 10. The Silence of Impact. Transforming your communication. You know, it's funny how sometimes the most profound transformations in our lives come not from what we say, but from the spaces between our words. As we've journeyed together through these chapters, one idea keeps coming back. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's a potent, active force that can reshape the way we connect with others. Let's dive deep into how embracing the silence of impact can completely transform your communication. The power of a well-placed pause. Imagine for a moment that you're at a family dinner sharing stories with those you love. You're excited to tell an anecdote, and just as you're about to share the punchline, you pause. That pause isn't awkward. It's loaded with anticipation. It's as if the room holds its breath, waiting for you to complete the thought. When you finally speak, the impact is magnified because you allowed a moment for the words to settle. That's the beauty of a well-placed pause. It's like giving your message a moment to breathe, to be fully absorbed by the listener. Instead of bombarding your audience with a rapid-fire delivery, you give them time to reflect, to feel, and to connect with what you're saying. This is what we mean by transforming your communication through silence. Amplifying your message through stillness. Consider this. When you speak in a room filled with chatter, every word can get lost in the noise. But when you strategically incorporate silence, your words stand out like bright stars in a clear night sky. It's not about speaking less for the sake of brevity. It's about speaking with such intention that every word resonates. Think about the speeches you admire, the ones that linger in your memory long after you've heard them. Often, those speakers use silence, like an artist uses negative space. They leave room for their ideas to expand in the listener's mind. That silence transforms your message from a mere string of words into an experience that your audience can feel and remember. Creating an impactful presence. One of the most remarkable effects of embracing silence is that it shifts the focus from you to your message. When you are comfortable with pauses, you signal confidence. You're not scrambling to fill every moment with chatter. Instead, you let your words carry their own weight. This kind of presence is magnetic. It draws people in and makes them want to listen more closely. Imagine a conversation where you share an important idea and then stop. Instead of filling the silence with unnecessary commentary, you let your words echo. Your audience, whether in a meeting, a classroom, or a casual chat, feels the importance of what you just said. They have the space to reflect, and in that reflection, your message takes root. Transforming conflict and connection. Silence isn't just a tool for delivering powerful speeches or striking conversations. It also plays a crucial role in moments of conflict or tension. When emotions run high, our instinct might be to talk more, to defend, or to justify our stance. However, a measured silence in those moments can be incredibly disarming. It allows both sides to cool down, to reflect on the situation without the heat of impulsive reactions. I remember a time when a friend was caught in the middle of a heated discussion at work. Instead of jumping in with more words that might escalate the situation, they chose to remain silent for a few moments. That pause gave everyone the chance to collect their thoughts. It wasn't about avoiding conflict. It was about choosing to engage with calm and clarity. When the conversation resumed, it was more constructive and less charged with emotion. That's the transformative power of silence. It can turn a potential clash into an opportunity for understanding and resolution. Building lasting connections through reflective communication. At the heart of impactful communication is connection. When you allow silence to weave into your interactions, you're not just delivering information, you're inviting others into a shared space of thought and reflection. Consider the deep, lingering conversations you've had with a friend. Often, it's not the constant talking that made the connection strong, but the quiet moments when both of you were simply present with one another. That reflective space gives room for empathy and understanding. It's in those silences that you often find the most honest responses and the deepest insights. People appreciate being heard, not just by words, but by the attentive, quiet presence of someone who values what they have to say. Practical ways to transform your communication with silence. If you're wondering how to start integrating this powerful tool into your daily life, here are a few friendly tips. Intentional pausing. Next time you speak, try to build in a brief pause after making a key point. Let that silence be the canvas on which your words settle and resonate. Mindful listening. When someone else is speaking, practice embracing the silence. Resist the urge to jump in with your thoughts immediately. Instead, let your mind absorb their words and reflect on them. This not only improves your understanding, but also shows that you value their perspective. Reflective moments. After important conversations or presentations, take a few moments of silence for yourself. Reflect on what was said and consider how the silence in those moments helped shape your understanding of the message. Practice in daily life. Try incorporating silence into everyday situations. Whether you're enjoying a quiet morning coffee or walking in a park, Allow yourself moments of silence. These practices will help you become more comfortable with the power of quiet, making it easier to use it effectively in your conversations. Observe and learn. Watch great speakers. Think of the pauses in their delivery, the moments when they let their words hang in the air. Notice how these silences create impact. Learn from these examples and experiment with similar techniques in your own communication. Embrace the pauses, value the quiet moments, and watch as your words take on a deeper, more lasting significance. When you let silence work its magic, you open the door to clearer thinking, stronger connections, and a more impactful presence in every conversation. By mastering the art of silence, you're not just changing the way you speak, you're transforming the very way you connect with the world. And that, my dear friend, is a gift that keeps on giving. Chapter 11. Silence in the Digital Age, the Art of Saying Less Online. You know that feeling when you're scrolling through social media and it seems like the whole world is shouting? Everyone has an opinion, a hot take, an urgent message to share. The digital space has become a constant stream of noise. And let's be honest, it's exhausting. But what if we flipped the script? What if, instead of rushing to type out our thoughts, we embraced a little silence? Let's talk about the power of saying less online, because in a world that never stops talking, silence can be your greatest strength. The pause before you post. Imagine you're about to hit send on a comment or a tweet. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, do I really need to say this? If the answer isn't a strong yes, maybe, just maybe, it's okay to stay silent. The internet thrives on impulsive reactions. We see something that triggers us, and we instantly feel the urge to respond. But what if we paused? What if we took a breath and let the moment settle before deciding if our voice was truly needed? Silence in the digital world isn't about disengaging. It's about engaging better. It's about choosing words that add value rather than just adding to the noise. Not every argument needs you. Here's the truth. You don't have to weigh in on everything. It might feel like your perspective is needed in every debate, every trending topic, every internet battle. But is it? Sometimes silence is the best response. Not because you don't have something valuable to say, but because not every conversation is worth your energy. The more you resist the urge to engage in every online dispute, the more control you have over your own peace of mind. There's a quiet power in stepping back and choosing where to invest your words. The beauty of letting things breathe. Think about the last time you read something online that made you angry. Did you react right away? Or did you take a moment to process it? When we pause before responding, we give ourselves time to reflect. We gain clarity, and often we realize that our initial reaction wasn't the most thoughtful one. Pausing doesn't mean ignoring. It means approaching conversations with intention. It means allowing space for perspective to settle before jumping in with an opinion. A well-timed silence can be more impactful than a rushed response. Protecting your mental space. Have you ever noticed how draining it can be to constantly consume digital conversations? The endless cycle of news, updates, arguments, and opinions can take a toll. Silence, intentional, mindful silence, can be a form of self-care. Try this. The next time you feel overwhelmed by the digital world, step away, log out, put your phone down. Give yourself permission to not engage. The world will keep spinning, and you'll return feeling clearer, calmer, and more in control of your own thoughts. Quality over quantity. When you do choose to speak online, let it be meaningful. It's not about how often you post, but what you post. A single thoughtful comment can have more impact than a dozen reactionary ones. A well-crafted post, shared at the right time, can carry more weight than daily updates. Your voice has power. Use it with intention. Use it to uplift, to inspire, to share something that truly matters. The digital world doesn't need more noise. It needs more wisdom, more kindness, and more people who know the value of speaking with purpose. Silence as a statement. Sometimes saying nothing is saying something. There's a quiet strength in withholding your voice when it's not necessary. Silence can be an act of defiance, of wisdom, of knowing when words would only dilute the message. Think of it like this. In music, the pauses between the notes create the melody. Without them, it's just noise. The same principle applies to communication, both online and offline. The spaces where we choose not to speak often shape the moments where we do. Chapter 12. Silence in Leadership, Leading with Fewer Words. When most people think of leadership, they imagine constant communication, endless speeches, meetings, and lively discussions. But history shows us that the most influential leaders often harnessed the strength of silence. This isn't about being disengaged or passive. Instead, it's a deliberate, thoughtful strategy to amplify your impact, build trust, and lead with clarity. Active listening, the first step. Consider this. A great leader listens first and speaks second. By allowing others the space to express their ideas without interruption, you send a clear message. You value their input. This intentional silence builds respect and creates a foundation for genuine, meaningful conversations. When your team feels heard, trust grows, collaboration flourishes, and each member steps up to own their role. Empowering through quiet moments. In many organizations, people hesitate to share their thoughts for fear of being judged. As a leader, your strategic use of pauses can change that. After posing a question or making a statement, give your team a moment to reflect. That pause isn't empty. It's a powerful invitation for creative ideas and honest dialogue. In these quiet spaces, innovation takes root and diverse perspectives can truly shine. Thoughtful decision-making in a hectic world. Our fast-paced environment often pressures us to respond instantly, but a brief pause can be a leader's best ally. By taking time to reflect before speaking or making decisions, you ensure that your choices align with your organization's core values and vision. These moments of silent reflection lead to more strategic, well-considered decisions that benefit everyone in the long run. Silent authority and emotional resilience. There's an undeniable strength in remaining composed. When challenges arise, your calm silence can speak louder than words. It signals to your team that you're in control, even under pressure. This silent confidence helps to de-escalate conflicts and guide tense situations toward constructive solutions, reinforcing your role as a stable and reliable leader. Creating focus and eliminating noise. By choosing your words carefully and eliminating unnecessary chatter, you set a clear direction for your team. This focus reduces confusion and helps everyone concentrate on what truly matters. In doing so, you create an environment where productivity soars and every spoken word carries real weight. Building trust through consistency. Constant excessive communication can sometimes muddle your message. Leaders who speak less and let their actions shine build a culture of trust and transparency. By following through on commitments without overloading your team with words, you let your integrity and purpose speak for themselves. Thank you for joining us on this deep. Remember, sometimes the most profound messages are those left unsaid. If you found value in today's insights, hit that like button. Subscribe to True Stoic. See you soon.